says, yes. Okay, thank you. Sit down. Let me address this a little bit here. This whole topic of energy is one of my favorites because you can get really great results in your life when you start to handle this stuff. What I've found time and again is when people start to eliminate their energy drains, they make space in their life for the things that they really want. So if you've got a cluttered room, I guarantee you that cluttered room is going to prevent you from bringing in that new relationship you'd like to have or the money that you'd like to bring into your life. It's preventing you from bringing in the new house that you might want to live in or the friendships you'd like to have more of. There's 3 ways to eliminate energy drains, and this is for you in particular, my dear. Do it, hire it, or chuck it. It's that simple. And I have a little mantra I use, and I'd like you to write this down. And anybody else with clutter, which means everyone will be writing, right? Yes. Look at my mother over here. She's getting her pen out. Yes. When in doubt, throw it out. If you were to think of your life as one giant box, most of us live with our lives that are stuffed. And then we wonder why we can't bring into our lives the things that we really want. So if you make a list of the top 10 things that are draining your energy, you go through the list and you put a D next to the ones that only you can do. And I like to challenge myself to make those very few numbers. You put an H next to the one that you could hire somebody else to do. And there was one of yours there. Clean up the car. Yes, you could hire somebody else to do that. Do you have children? Yeah. Pay your kid to do it. Really, trust me on this one. So hire somebody or just chuck it. I don't know about all of you, but I love throwing things away now. Because every time I throw something away, this is what goes on in my mind. I'm hanging on to this? Oh my goodness, do I want these piles of magazines to take up the place for a television show I might do? I don't think so. If you've got piles of magazines sitting around in your house that you haven't read, please, they're old. Get rid of them. Make the space for something else. Now, I know this always brings up the question of procrastination for people. People will say to me, oh, but, I procrastinate. I try and get rid of this stuff, but I just can't make it happen. Well, the first thing I say to those of you that tend to be procrastinators is you need to get support. You need to put somebody in place that's going to help you to eliminate these energy drains. Make it a game. Make a list of your top 10 energy drains, call a friend, say to that friend, hey, listen, do me a favor, make a list of your top 10 energy drains, and let's make a goal to eliminate them within a 30-day period, and let's decide right now how we're going to celebrate afterwards. And then once you do that, I also want you to pay very careful attention to what starts showing up in your life. I've worked with clients where I've had a lawyer, listen to this, had a lawyer who had piles all over his office floor, have him clean up all the, and he came to me saying, I need to build more business. Can you help me with marketing? I said, yeah, clean up the piles on your floor. He looked at me like I was nuts. I'm used to that by now. And once he got somebody in, got filing cabinets, cleaned up the piles, the new clients started showing up like clockwork. I see it happen over and over again. So people who procrastinate need to have support, somebody that's going to help you. It might be that game. It might be somebody else who says to you, you know what, I'm going to sit right down with you and I'll help you go through the boxes. But it's interesting. Sometimes procrastination can be a gift. It just made me think of another woman that I worked with. I remember a woman came to me and she said, Cheryl, for 3 years I've been trying to eliminate the boxes that I have all over my apartment, piles of junk, and I can't do it. So, of course, I said to her, well, have you hired a professional organizer? She said, yes, I did. Well, did it help? Yes, it did. Then I put all the piles back. Okay. Well, have you tried just little steps at a time? Yes, I have. And then they just creep back in again. Okay, I said. I'm thinking, okay, we got a challenging one here, to myself. So after a couple of weeks of giving her just a little project of eliminating her piles, she'd come to the coaching call and she'd say, yeah, I cleaned up that little spot, but there's still stuff there. And I thought, okay, this is a call for divine intervention. And I did this. I closed my eyes. We were on the phone coaching. I closed my eyes and I said, okay, God, you got to tell me what to do because I'm clueless. And what came into my mind sounded really weird, but I've learned to pay attention to what the divine has to say. So I said to this woman, I'll call her Melinda. I said, Melinda, I know this might sound really strange, but you know, I always just trust my intuition. And here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to go home some night this week when nobody else is home. I want you to buy a bunch of those little tea candles. You know, the little, like the ones here on the table. Little tea candles. I said, I want you to go home and I want you to light these little tea candles and just place them around the piles. I know, she thought I was nuts too. At that point, she said, what are you, crazy? I said, trust me, I know this sounds weird, but just work with me here. So I said, and when you put those little candles all over the place, what I'd like you to do is this. I'd like you to just sit still, get quiet, and I'd like you to look at these boxes and simply ask, what are you trying to tell me? What message do you have for me? Now, that she really thought I was crazy. And I think I thought I was crazy too, but I figured, what the heck? And she went home, and sure enough, it was a Tuesday evening. She went ahead and did it. She called me the next week. She said, you're not going to believe what happened. I said, what? She said, I did exactly what you said. Everybody was gone from the house. I lit the tea candles. I put them around the boxes. I sat down. I felt like a complete idiot. And as I sat there, I said, okay, what are you trying to tell me? And nothing happened. So I closed my eyes and I just sort of started breathing a little bit, and I said, what message do you have for me? And she said, I started to cry. And the next thing I know, I was sobbing. She said, do you know what I heard? And I said, what? She said, I heard, in these boxes are the notes for a book you long to write. And until you start writing, we're not going anywhere. And do you know, I did thank the divine in that moment. We forgot about the boxes, and instead what I put in place is a schedule, a calendar for her to write every day. And over the course of the next year, as she began to write over and over again, the boxes slowly began to disappear. And they stayed away for good as she finished her book. So sometimes procrastination is really a gift. And if there's something you've not been able to do in your life, you might want to buy a few tea candles. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about passion. Okay, so passion is next. How to create an abundance of passion. So I need a volunteer for passion. Volunteer? Yes, okay. Here we go. Want to stand up? Okay. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. I can see that look like, oh my God, I can't believe I raised my hand. What's your first name?
Marianne.
Marianne. Okay, Marianne. So just give me a line about where you feel stuck around creating more passion in your life.
Well, I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. I have 4 sons, and the youngest is 16, and I had an ice cream shop for 10 years, and I sold it 3 years ago, and now I don't know what I want to do.
Okay. So the youngest one is 16, which means they're moving on. Are you getting nervous about that?
I am.
Yes, yes. A lot of women in your position are like that. Sure, they start to feel, it can be such an exciting time, but at the same time it's really scary. So any idea of some of the things you love to do?
Work with children.
Okay.
Social work. I don't have exactly.
Yeah, okay.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's totally fine. See, here's the thing. First of all, a lot of people will say to me, I'm trying to find my passion, right? We all at some point. I'm trying to connect with what it is I'm meant to do. And it's interesting, you started with, I'm trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life, right? Because the idea of what am I going to do with the rest of my life feels really overwhelming, don't you think?
It does.
Yes, of course it does. So the first thing we need to remember is this. Passion is an internal experience, not an external event. So in other words, we need to begin to explore those things that make us feel passionate in some way. Instead of thinking, too often we think our passion lies out there, like, oh, if I had the right job, then I'd feel passion. If I had, the right project or the right business, then I'd feel passion, as if our passion lives out there somewhere. But the great thing is that passion lives within us. Passion is a strong reaction to anything. Passion can sometimes be rage, anger, excitement, enthusiasm. a deep sense of fulfillment. And once we get that, you then realize that the only way to connect with what you feel passionate about is to first connect with how you feel. So the one-liner there that you'll want to write down after is, everyone needs to do less and feel more. We spend so much time doing that we end up living up in our heads, and you will not find your passion up there. It doesn't live there. It lives down in your body. It lives in a connection between your head and your heart. So the first thing I always say to people is, it's important for you to begin to engage in activities that will allow you to connect your head with your heart. So that could be things like writing in a journal or a notebook. It could certainly be talking to good friends about how you feel, not what you think, but how you feel. It could be even simple little things. I love to use little, practical examples. Like one time I had a client take her wristwatch and set the alarm so that every hour it would go beep beep. And it was during that time that I told her to just close your eyes, check in and notice how you feel. So that you train yourself to be checking in, to drop your energy down from your head into your body. Here's why that's important. Because the next step in discovering what it is we feel passionate about is extremely important, and that is, we have to give ourselves permission to explore. Everybody wants to figure it out right away. Like, don't you feel a lot of stress and pressure to figure out what it is you're going to do?
I do.
Do you? Yeah. Especially as the kids get older, it's going to really ramp up. Right. We never make smart choices when we're under duress. We just don't. Remember this, when you feel stress, you will make a choice from your head about something that is only connected to your heart. So you set yourself up to fail in that way. So have a seat. I want you to write down some of the things I'm going to talk about. Here's some of what you need to do. If you're sitting in this room or listening at home and you really want to connect with what you feel passionate about, I like to think of it as a treasure hunt, really. And especially as the kids are getting older, when you become an empty nester, there's two things that happen. There's the normal grief and loss process that you need to go through, because it is a loss. And then there's the exciting new exploration of life. Too often we all think we have to figure out what we want to be when we grow up immediately and then go and do it. Right? I mean, how many people still feel like they don't know what they want to be when they grow up? Yeah, lots of us do. That's because we're too busy doing what we think we should do instead of giving ourselves a chance to explore. So let's say you were going to explore. Here's some of the questions I'd ask you. And all of you, if you're interested in connecting more with your passion. Things like, when you open a newspaper, what's the first section that you go to? What's the very first section? Doesn't matter if it's the cartoons. The obituaries. Okay? Mom, I'm a little worried. What section do you go to first? What if I told you that you could go to your local bookstore, but there would be only one section in that bookstore from now on? Which section would you absolutely have to have in that bookstore? Write it down. And here's an important one for you, my dear. What kinds of dreams or desires did you have for your children? You know how there are some parents, a lot of parents, will really wish their kids will do certain things? Oh, I wish my son would get into sports, or I wish my daughter would get into interior decorating, or whatever. Sometimes the way to identify the things that we feel passionate about is to look at what we wish our kids would pursue. Now, the same thing happens with relationships. One of the other exercises I used to give clients is I'd say to them, okay, let's look at your past relationships. Dating, marriages, friendships, the people that may no longer be in your life. Let's look and see what they did for a living. Because often we will draw into our lives those people who are engaged in the kinds of passionate pursuits that we'd most like to be engaged in. I remember once I had a very, very close girlfriend of mine who was always dating artists. And she was a great artist, but she didn't believe it. It's one of those things where those things that come naturally to us that we really love doing, we completely discount. Right? It's not of value. Or certainly we go to the place of, well, I'd never make any money doing that. Great, okay, just throw your passion right out the window because you've decided you won't make any money. But I remember finally one day I said to her, I said, look, you keep dating artists. There might be a clue here. It might be time for you to pick up the brush and start on your own. And sure enough, when this woman started doing that, she stopped dating artists, which for her was a good thing. And she started painting again, and her life began to bloom. Sometimes I would have people, and this is a specific exercise just for you, I would challenge you to create a passion map. Now what that means is you gather a bunch of catalogs and magazines, save them all. And as you go through the catalogs and magazines, you start to rip out any images that jump out at you, any of the images that speak to your soul. Because you see, our soul, the place down in here, right, where our passion resides, speaks to us in images. And so you can literally sit on the floor, put the magazines all over the floor, put catalogs all over the floor, and just thumb through them and start ripping out the pages that just make you smile or make you feel something strongly. Rip them all out and put them aside. Then when you're done, and by the way, you don't have to do this in, 5 or 10 minutes. You can do this over a series of days if you'd like. Take long. It's a good idea to just kind of, see how you feel over a period of time. Once you have it done, you can spread them out all over the floor, the pictures, the pages that you've ripped out, and then start to sit down in the middle of them like a kid. Sit down in the middle with scissors and start cutting them out, and then get yourself a big piece of poster board, and just take those images and glue them on the board all over the place. Make a collage. Remember what it was like to make a collage? The fun days with the big thick crayons and the little nubby scissors. I loved that. Make yourself a collage, a passion map. And then I just want you to put that map where you'll see it on a regular basis. It might be at the end of your bed. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to figure anything out. All you need to do is just keep